On the podcast today, I have a gentleman who has 4 of the Real Producers publications in the DFW area, and he created something called the ESPES, which is becoming quite a bit more known in the area for an award show. His name is Jordan, and I will let you explain why it's called the ESPES.
That'd be based off my last name, Espeseth. My best friend used to work for ESPN, and a few years ago when I was looking at creating this big awards gala, I was like, oh, we should call it something cool. And I was brainstorming, and I'm like, well, my last name is Espeseth, so ESPE, SETH. And I was like, well, we could call it the ESPE Awards. And we remade the logo to look a lot like the ESPE Awards. We even made our awards look like the ESPE, like the actual ESPN ESPE Awards.
You getting close to that line before the lawyer calls you yet?
Well, I've always kind of joked that I'm waiting for that cease and desist to come, which would be kind of sweet because it'd probably be a good brand builder to get sued by ESPN. So we'll see one day maybe.
No news is bad news, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So Real Producers, usually we're talking to real estate agents or leaders within the companies. This is completely different. You started this business. It's a franchise, but you took over the entire DFW area. Briefly explain what Real Producers is.
Yeah, so the simplest way to explain it is we're a community of the highest producing real estate agents and the best businesses that service those agents in the market. And so we do a monthly physical and digital publication that is for specifically the top 500 producing real estate agents in DFW. Well,
in their zones.
In their zones, because there's roughly 60,000 licensed agents in all of DFW.
That's insane to me.
About half of them, this number always fluctuates, but in general, about half of them, so 30,000 are even active. And of that 30,000, the grand majority of the volume is done by the actual top, 5-10%.
Right.
And so in each of our 4 quadrants, if you take DFW, it's a big circle of 8.5 million people. You put a plus sign in the middle. It's really, you got your North Dallas Real Producers, your Dallas Real Producers, and then we have the 2 in Tarrant County where we call the North one North Fort Worth, and then Fort Worth Real Producers. So 4 separate magazines, 4 separate groups of top 500 agents based off their production. And that magazine goes out, we share their stories, their successes. We talk about our partners within there, within the publication. But then obviously the events that we host too. If you're in that top 500, you get access to the private events that we host. All the businesses that partner with us have come recommended by the highest producing agents that we sit down and meet with. So it's a vetted group of businesses, the best agents, branding through the magazine, events on a regular basis. It's some people like to refer to as like the country club of high-end real estate. So.
You say that the agents recommend. You had called me, so obviously I'm in the inspection business. You called me and said, hey, there was like 3 agents that had talked about you. Figure I'd give you a call because if enough people are saying nice things, I should call and figure out what it is that you do.
That's right.
And shortly after that, we came on board with you guys.
Yep. It's been a little over a year, I think.
Yeah. Been in the magazine. Love the events.
Yep.
You get shoulder to shoulder with top producing agents, where I have bought last year, 2023, I spent $63,000 on food and vendor fees, and the overwhelming majority of that went to agents. Because you just said 5 to 10% do most of the business.
Yep.
Those are the guys I want to talk to.
Yep.
But I end up feeding agents that come in for the free meal and sell 1 house a year.
Yes.
And if you're starting out and you're going to be a big producer, keep up with it.
Yeah.
But very few of them actually do.
It's hard to get in front of, so I always share, it's very easy to get in front of real estate agents. That's like the easiest thing to do. Very difficult to get in front of the ones that actually produce and do anything.
Yeah, which is why I love the events that we go to with you guys.
Yes.
I actually get shoulder to shoulder with these people.
Yep. Yeah, they actually come out. And I attribute that to the model. I can't take credit for Real Producers. I can take credit for coming to DFW, but it's a national franchise, right? There's, I think, 130 different Real Producers across the nation. We have the 4 here in DFW. But it's a cool model that was generated that makes it kind of a no-brainer for agents to be like, well, yeah, I want to be featured in the magazine and it's not going to cost me anything. And yeah, I want to be around other high level people. Big thing that we always say is a rising tide lifts all ships, and that we're better together. And so when other top producing agents love connecting with other top producing agents because they become better. Plus, they get to connect with the other businesses that are all working with top producing agents, and it's just this whole community of elevating everyone at the same time. But the model makes it really unique to where the top agents actually come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we love.
Yeah.
Someone that needs top producing agents.
Yeah.
You have 4 publications. You've had a good amount of success in the DFW area, but I know that wasn't always the case with your life prior to coming here and starting this venture. Give me the overhead view of where you came from and how you got to this point now where we're in your house. It's a beautiful home. I mean, you've obviously done something well.
Yeah, God's been super good.
Yeah.
But it's been a bumpy road. I'm 34 now, and I grew up in northern Minnesota. I actually used to race a sport called snowcross, which is like, you know what motocross is?
Yep.
It was that on high performance snowmobiles.
Okay.
And so that was my upbringing, was racing snowcross, and but I went to college for 7 years. I originally went to be a nurse, a registered nurse, or get my bachelor's of nursing at North Dakota State University in Fargo, North Dakota.
Okay.
Which I'm going to tie that back because there's a reason I'm in Frisco, and it's linked to NDSU where I went to college. But it was like going through my clinicals and on the medical surgical floor, and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, this is not like what I want to do. And so anyways, I got out of the nursing degree, got a random bachelor's degree. That was already 5 years. Still had no idea what I wanted to do. Had buddies that were doing physical therapy. And I was like, well, I could do that, but that's a doctorate. That's a lot more schooling. So I went and got a physical therapy assistant degree. And I worked as a traveling physical therapist assistant, actually in Central Texas, but if you know, like Lana or San Saba, Texas, like Fredericksburg. So I worked at a 1-star nursing home in San Saba, Texas back in 2015. And while I was doing that, I really had like an entrepreneurial bug that hit me.
Yeah.
And so I've done a lot of different stuff. You name it. I mean, the network marketing stuff. I've been there, done that, tried that. I even at one point I got certified through a few different companies for like life coaching and different programs that they teach. Helped my brother with his business that he has in Minnesota. And anyway, so I was trying all these different things. And in 2017, which is the year before I came to DFW to start Real Producers, I was traveling around the country speaking at a lot of real estate events, essentially helping agents with their marketing. Have you heard of Sendo Cards?
Yeah.
So we got connected with Sendo Cards, which is another network marketing company. And my buddy was involved with Cutco, if you're familiar with Cutco Closing Gifts.
I don't know.
They do like the knives and the personal engraving and all that.
Yeah, I know that.
And so he had all this experience of like, meeting real estate agents and trying to sell Cutco and all that stuff. And he's like, what if we took the Cutco approach to send out cards and we just traveled across the country, speak at every real estate event that we could possibly get in front of, and just teach agents how to use send out cards to, cultivate their leads list and go after expired listings and for sale by owners. And anyway, so in 2017, we were literally in a different city like every single day, speaking at happy hours and team meetings and expos and golf outings. And Keller Williams Bold was probably my favorite real estate event that we would sponsor. But after a year of doing that, I was kind of tired of like Airbnbs and Priceline hotels. And I had 3 events left. This was like November of 2017. I had 3 events left, and then I was like, I got to do something different. And that event I was at was in Topeka, Kansas. And one of the ladies that was sponsoring the event, she was a Cutco gal, but she was also involved with the St. Louis Real Producers.
Okay.
And so we're sitting there sponsoring the event. She's telling me a little bit about like what she does with Real Producers and what it is. And I absolutely loved what I heard, because like we already mentioned, one of the things I learned through that year is that it is very easy to get in front of real estate agents, but it's very hard to get in front of the right ones. And I found that at 27 years old, I was spending all my marketing dollars, all my time building relationships with these agents, only to find out they do 0 to 1 homes a year and they weren't even a good fit for what we do.
Yep.
And that was like super disheartening, right? And I didn't realize that's the real estate world.
It's the norm.
That's the norm.
I figured that out within the first year, yes.
Yeah. And so when I heard there's actually a company, Real Producers, that solves that issue, we build the community around the highest producing agents and best businesses and give people visibility, time to connect. I was all in on that. But when I made the decision, so I did the interviews and everything to get approval to start a Real Producers franchise. I was actually supposed to start it in Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is what I thought I wanted, like to be in my home state, right?
Yeah.
I got family, friends. My family has a lake cabin in central Minnesota. And so I'm like, you know what? Like, that would be amazing. And I was about to move down to Minneapolis, and I get a call from the VP of our publishing company. He's like, hey man, we made a mistake. The Twin Cities is actually not open. And so if you want to continue with us and Real Producers, you're going to need to go to another market, which was essentially a death sentence to me being anywhere near Minnesota. And so I was devastated. That was like mid-January of 2018. But 3 weeks later, I moved to Dallas, actually to Frisco. Because one of the things he said on that call, he's like, if you're willing to go anywhere, our biggest and best open market is currently Dallas. And tying back to where I went to college, if anyone's familiar with North Dakota State University, our football team has won 9 national championships, I think in the last 11 years, all played in Frisco.
Yeah, one of my buddies actually went to that school, and he came to Dallas 3 or 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
And stayed with us.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I did it 3 times or maybe 4 times. All 4 years I went to NDSU, we won.
Right.
So me and 17,000 or 19,000 Bison fans would drive down. And Carson Wentz was our quarterback at the time. And everyone from Fargo, North Dakota has this like extreme affinity for Frisco because we just associate it with winning national championships. And so I was like, wait, I could move to Frisco? And that was literally the reason. I didn't know a single person when I came here, but I was like, I could move.
You've been here 3 or 4 times already.
Yeah, I've been here a few times already. And I was like, you know what? They're close enough to energy-wise to like Minnesotans. And so I can get down with Texans. And so literally
No snow cross here, though.
No snow cross here, which is okay. I actually hate the cold. Okay. I loved the snow, hated the cold. Unfortunately, they go together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was 3 weeks after I got the call. Hey, you can't be in Minnesota. I hopped in my vehicle and on my 28th birthday drove 1,300 miles to Frisco to attempt to start North Dallas Real Producers, which was.
And how did that go the first year?
Well, it was tough. You know, I had a lot of friends and family at that point that were a little bit, I don't want to say losing hope in me or frustrated with me, but probably like, cause I wasn't the normal that, you know, I was always trying to try different things. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like getting to a point where they're like, you know what, you just need to
go get a normal job.
Go get a job. Go back to your physical therapy assistant job. Like, quit chasing this pipe dream. But
I've had plenty of people tell me that too.
Sure. I'm sure everyone that has gone the entrepreneurial route has felt that.
Yeah, definitely.
And so when I came here, when I told my dad, we didn't talk for 3 weeks. When I told him that I was moving to start a magazine, he was like, I'm done. You know, like, he's like, I'm done. We're great now.
Yeah.
But I don't blame him. I mean, it was, you know, I could see where that would be frustrating. I had a lot of strikeouts, you know, at that point. So, but I came here, I had $70,000 in debt. A lot of that was like credit card debt, and felt like it was like my last chance is what it felt like. I'm like, this felt like it was just.
Sometimes you have to get in that hole though.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like back against the wall.
Yes.
Burn all the bridges, which is exactly where I was. It was like, you're either dying here or you're succeeding here, right? Like there was no way I was gonna like put my tail in between my legs and come back to Minnesota. It wasn't gonna happen. I had this deep seated fear for whatever reason or adversity. I'm averse to 9-to-5 jobs. Like the idea of like corporate 9-to-5. I work hard. I know you work hard. Like as an entrepreneur, I work extremely hard, but something about the 9-to-5 prison just like did not sit in my soul.
My hours are very different than.
Yes.
I really don't like to work past 3 or 4 in the afternoon, but at 6 a.m. I'm sending emails.
Right. Same. Yeah, I'm very similar. And I love that we get to create our own schedule, can work from home, I can go out if I want. So it was a dream.
I can use the evenings and afternoons to network and go to like your events and things. So I get all my work done, and then where I make the real work is meeting people.
Totally. Yep. Your net worth is in your network, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so when I started, so just to give you context, when someone starts at Real Producers, because people try all the time, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I would guess it's about a 50% success rate. When someone goes, I'm going to go start a Real Producers, about 50% of them probably actually do it.
That's not great.
It's not super great. And I think it's partly due to the way our publishing company sets up. We don't have a franchise fee, which is a blessing and a curse. So like instead of paying $50,000 to get a franchise, if you get approved, you don't pay anything. But for most people, when they start to when they actually go to print and start making a paycheck is about 6 to 8 months. And so your price tag is you're going to go do this thing and for 6 to 8 months for free, and you may not even make it happen. And so that's the risk. However, so what happens is people that don't have their back against the wall and they're just trying to find something to do, they're like, oh, well, I got accepted to start this Real Producers thing and I'm gonna give it my best, but it can be easy after like 2 months when it's harder than you realize it's gonna be. Well, I don't have $50,000 in this, so this sucks and I'm out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think if they had like a more skin in the game, I think there would be a higher success rate.
There's a saying I love. I started this not because it's easy, but because I thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah, exactly. Man, any business people start it's not easy.
No.
It never is. But that's what makes it so much more rewarding and everything once you actually get it up and running. But so when people start a Real Producers, again, the way you even start a Real Producers is you have to get advertisers to buy an ad in the magazine so you can get revenue to print. It's expensive to print a magazine.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so you need to sell, enough just to even cover the cost of what it costs to print it. And then after that, you make profit. And so you have to go on meetings and, sit down with lenders and titles and roofers, inspectors, and pitch them on the Real Producers dream that didn't exist here. And I didn't know anybody. And so it was like, for most people, they go on their first 10 sales appointments and they get 10 no's. Like that's not uncommon.
We've all been there. We've all done that, yeah.
Yeah, some people get it earlier and some people a little more, but in our publishing company, I'm iconic for going over 40. So my first 40 sales appointments where I sat down and pitched Louis Zettler on Real Producers, hour-long meetings, no, 40 times. And
what were you saying wrong? What were you doing?
Man, I don't know, because it's funny because I worked incredibly hard. I practiced all my scripts. People ask me all the time, like, what would you have done differently? I honestly think everyone's got their own journey, and God was putting me through a bit of a refiner's fire to get through. And it was just my journey. But I was doing all the coaching, the practicing. I was taking the massive action that needed to be taken. It was just, I don't know, it just wasn't happening. And I shared this story where trust me, when you're 0 for 10, you're like, okay, it's fine. Then you go 0 for 20, and it's like, oh man, like.
No one's ever going to say yes to me.
Yeah, and then like even like your coaches and peers are like, they're trying to be supportive, but they're starting to lose hope a little bit. You can hear it in their voice. Then you go 0 for 30, and it's like the sirens are going off in your head, and you're like, oh my gosh. And again,
Time to do that PT job.
yeah, I'm like, and seriously. And so what's interesting is I was 0 for 37, and I was like, I came after a weekend. Picked myself back off the floor, and I'm like, this is the week it's going to happen. I got myself all jacked up. I mean, this is going to happen right here, right this week. And I drove 45 minutes to a sales appointment with a company, only to get shot down within like 5 minutes. They were like, you need to leave. This will never work here. Like, I know all the top agents. Like, get out.
Yeah.
And that was like, I literally drove 45 minutes back home, now 0 for 38, and laid in bed, put my tail in between my legs, and I lived in a one-bedroom apartment with nothing on the walls, a pop-up table for a desk, an air mattress I lived on for 14 months, right? Like with a nice little pad. Went back home, cuddled my cat, and bawled my eyes out. And that was the one time I picked up my phone and I looked at monster.com to start searching for other jobs. I'm like, it's not gonna work for me, right? And so I literally started searching other jobs. And as I was scrolling through monster.com, reading the different jobs, what they entail, how little they pay, I was like, something got like angry within me. And I was like, I gotta make this work. And I got back up, and 3 appointments later is when I got my first sale.
What was the first sale?
It was a lender.
Okay.
And it was a premium page. And that one, keep in mind, like, so I met with this company, and they were like, yeah, this is good. Like, we're in, come back tomorrow and we'll get everything signed up. And so I come back the next day. I'm 0 for 40 at this point. And I show up 15 minutes early, and I'm sitting downstairs in the lobby, and I'm like, I'm gonna get my first contract. Like, this is gonna be amazing. And I look at my phone, and I get an email from the guy who's like currently 5 floors above me. And he said, hey man, thought about it, we're gonna pass. And I got just pissed. And I literally was like, I went right up the elevator, just stormed in his office. I'm like, what's the deal, man? I'm like, I don't get why every single lender is not jumping at this opportunity. I'm like, we're talking about for the price that you're paying for what you get out of this. You know, he's like, I'm like, I just don't know. I don't get it. And he told me later down the road, he was like, I was just a little taken back by it, but I saw your passion and your heart. And he's like, well, I'm just not sure about the 24-month thing. Because at the time, that's what he was looking at, was a 24-month option. I'm like, fine, we'll do it for 12 months. And he was like, all right. I had to rewrite the contract 3 times because I was so like, I had this adrenaline and I was like messing up. I had to crumple it up and throw it away. And I'm like in front of him looking like probably a fool. But got that first sale, and it felt like I was on top of the world. And
what a story.
Yeah. And it
40
yeah.
trials.
Yeah.
How long did that take? 2-3 months?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of...
Because you're not having an appointment every day, not 30 days in a row. You probably 3 months worth of work right there.
Well, keep in mind, when you start Real Producers, before you even do sales appointments, you got to meet with a ton of real estate agents first.
Right.
So it's like, I met with probably 20 real estate agents for the first probably 3-4 weeks. Meeting them, they would be giving me the people that they love. Here's my favorite lender. Here's my favorite title person. So I'm getting all these names and contacts, my lead source. And then finally, probably a month in is when I started actually doing sales appointments. And I would guess that it was probably about 3 months, 2.5 to 3 months in from when I got my very first sale. You know, and so it was
exhausting.
Yeah, it was. And then finally went to print and then
now how many advertisers do you have now?
We've about 100 right now.
Okay.
100 active that are partnered with us. But some of those are in multiple publications.
Right.
Like you're in North Dallas, but we have some that are in all 4.
Yeah.
Some that are in 2, 3, whatever, you know. And so, but companies, we have 100. And so that was
100.
A long time coming.
From 40 no's.
Yeah.
You have 100 yeses now.
Yeah.
And of course, you've gotten probably double that of people that have come and gone, but
Yep, sure.
so
Yep.
you've gotten pretty good at the pitch, obviously.
I've never claimed myself to be like a good salesperson or anything like that. I just, because there's people that are way
You're
better
probably more organic now, and you're like, here's the deal, here's what
yeah.
it is.
I feel like I don't have to sell really
Well,
anymore.
there's a name in DFW now.
Yeah,
People
there's proof
recognize
in the
it.
pudding,
Yeah.
and it can be like, if this is a good fit, let's do it. If it's not, like it's not. But early on, it was like I had to try to paint this vision. I had to try to like say everything perfectly and handle all the objections. And I'm like, I'm not super good at that. Like that's not my expertise. And so I think I struggle with that. And then it's easy to have commission breath when you're $70,000 in debt and so much riding on it, and you're 0 for 20, 0 for 30. It's hard to go into a meeting and not have this energy come out of you of, I'm desperate for a sale. Because if you're desperate for a sale, they can feel it.
Yeah.
And then usually it results in a no. You know, so.
Yeah, it's very easy to read someone when they have to make that sale.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, totally.
Now you guys, you throw a lot of events.
About 30 a year now.
30 a year.
Yeah, between our 4.
So I technically am an extrovert, but more often than not, especially the older I get, I'm like, I just want to go home.
We're similar. I think we're ambiverts is the term.
Yeah.
Where it's
So
half and half.
Yeah, exactly. Because I can be out in public for days on end, but when I'm done, I just
Done.
Irish goodbye. I don't say. I just walk
Brains
out,
off.
go home,
Yep.
pass out.
Let's turn on the office. I'm out.
Yeah. Exactly. Is it exhausting? I know you get jazzed up. I can see the passion when you're at these events, especially when you're on stage,
Yeah.
and you get a microphone in your hand. You turn into a different person.
Yeah.
But how do you recharge? You just leave those events drained?
So it's funny. I don't like networking events a whole lot.
For someone that throws 30 a year, yeah.
And everyone just assumes I must be like the world's best networker and that I love it and crave it and need it and want it. And it's not true. It's just it's what I need to do for the job. And I can turn on the switch.
Right.
Right. I'm okay. It's extrovert time. Like let's turn it on. But to your point, I'm not a pure extrovert to where that fills me up. That actually drains me. And I'm with each conversation, it just the battery level's going down.
Yeah.
But I was actually talking with my parents yesterday because I had my Fort Worth event, my Toast to the Top 500, our Fort Worth one last night.
Okay.
We have 2 next week, right? We have our North Dallas one on Wednesday. And
Yeah, I'm going to that one.
Yep. And it's funny because now that I've done over the last 6.5 years so many events, when I remember when I did my very first ever event, and that's like a big moment. I had 4 publications that had came out, and it's like, I feel like this is building, but you never really know if people are going to show up, especially that very first event. I had like 260 people registered, but I'm like, are they actually going to show? I puked in the bathroom 5 minutes before because I was 5 minutes before and there was not one person there. It was at Concrete Cowboy at the Star.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, no one's going to show. And I have these advertising partners here that are
Bang.
expecting.
Yeah.
And I literally went into the bathroom, puked. Technically I was dry heaving. I don't think I actually puked. I walked out and there was this line from the check-in table just like to the back door. And we had probably 200 people there, like $1 billion of the real estate sold. Like it was amazing. But every event that I would do for probably like the first couple of years, it would take so much out of me. Like, the week leading up to it, it would be consuming my mind. The day of the event, I would just be like so anxious and like worked up at the event, and then get done and I would just like be zapped.
Drained.
But now, and as you mentioned, like so those social events where we have 100 to 200 people, 4 to 6, networking, doing our thing, those are kind of the staple events. But a few years ago, I threw the ESPYs, and I've done 3 of them now. And you were at the one last year. Mm-hmm. We had 800 people there. It's like, black tie, the gowns, the whole presentation, giving out awards. Like there's so many moving parts. It's 15 times more expensive than our normal events. And so there's like so much riding on it. That demands a ton out of me. But what I realized was that like raised my baseline for my other events. Now I go to like the event I did last night, and since I've done the ESPYs and I know what that's like, these seem like these easy breezy events now. And I don't like it's event day, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's go to the event. Like I might as well be another day.
Yeah.
And I just roll into the event, and now I'm able to be way more relaxed. I'm way more present. I'm not like stressing at the event. I'm like,
You probably have a team that you're trusting to set these up.
and I got a great team that helps. Which
Yes.
day one that wasn't the case. It was all on
it's
me.
all on you. Yeah, that entrepreneurial spirit, you think you can do everything, and then you realize once you get any level of success, you can't do anything.
No.
You have to have people helping
Well, you
you.
need to do it on your own for the most part when you start, because you
To
don't have the
know-
capital to pay
yeah.
people unless you're taking out a loan to do it.
And you don't know what you're doing, so you
you
got to
don't know
try
what
it
you're
all
doing.
yourself.
And then you pay your dues, and then hopefully you build a business to where you have enough income to where you can pay people to do some of the other stuff. And that's ended up happening. We've grown an amazing team, and it's a lot different now than it was 6 years ago. That's for sure. Big change.
Yeah, I mean, I heard of you guys probably 3-4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So that's how long it took just for me to even hear about it.
Yeah.
And then what did we join? Probably 16 months ago, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So it took a while, but now when I say, oh yeah, I'm part of Real Producers, like, oh yeah, I got the magazine yesterday. I saw you in there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it's starting to become this name
Yep.
around DFW, around the different offices that I go to. So
Yeah.
much so that now agents that I know really well, every time an issue is published, they'll send a picture of my ad, or they'll send a picture of me, like whatever event I was at, they'll find me and like, hey, look, it's you.
Where's Waldo?
Yeah. And they send it to me. I'm like, yeah, I know, I was there.
That's awesome.
You and 20 other agents sent me pictures of myself. I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
But I know it's working now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm on board, obviously.
Yeah. It was hard to get myself even to believe it was going to be something that worked. Like when I started, it was you're borrowing the belief that it's worked in other markets. I'm like, oh, I know this Real Producers thing works in Baltimore.
Yeah, but you're thousands of miles away
Yeah,
from...
but I'm just going to hope that it does here, and then you're going to hope that agents and businesses connect, and our goal is that we connect high-level businesses with high-level agents, and that business transacts, and it's fun when you finally get to see people who are like, oh, like I get it now, like I understand, like you're right, like these are the people I want to be in front of, and this is relationship building, and it doesn't just happen overnight, but it's worth it when you stick with it, show up, have follow-up plans, and are a relational human being. Real Producers can be a very fruitful thing for businesses.
You have 4.
Yep.
I don't think you're done.
Well, I don't know about that.
You're still growing. You have a big team. You got partners. You got a lot going. What's in the future? Are you going to Houston? You going to Austin?
I've been asked because I started.
You're going to be known as just Mr. Texas.
Just
for Real
Texas Real
just got-
Producers. I mean, there is like already a Lubbock Real Producers. There's a Austin and San Antonio and Houston. And yeah, I've been asked to start like an East Texas one. I've been asked to take over some stuff in Houston. But man, we have so much growth that we can still have here with. I feel like we're just like getting started. I feel like with
DFW.
With DFW,
Yeah.
It's such a huge market.
It's over 8 million people here.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we're super blessed. We're a bit of an anomaly. There's not really any Real Producers market that is quite like DFW, where there's like, because there's some people that own.
Do you think you're spoiled a little bit?
100%. Because there's some people that own, like, there's one gal, Kristen Brindley. She owns 7 Real Producers, but they're all in different cities across the nation. And that's a lot different to manage something like that than to handle 4 that are connected in essentially one market. And so, I don't know. I when I started, I thought I was just going to have North Dallas. And actually, someone else started Dallas Real Producers, but during COVID, they did a bad job, and I ended up taking it over. And then someone had actually started a Tarrant Reel Producers during COVID as well, and it was up and running. I don't know if you know this. It was up and running for 4 months, and then it shut down. And then I ended up taking it over. And then we split it into a north and a south. And so like I had no expectation of doing more than one. But it kind of
And here you
fell
are
in my
with
lap.
4.
And now we have 4, and I got a team, and it's amazing. And I don't know. I don't have much of a desire to do outside of DFW right now.
Yet.
I just feel super blessed, super grateful for everything that God's given me, and I just want to grow deeper. I want to provide more value here. I want to make it bigger, badder, and better. And maybe down the road we'll have other ideas and stuff, but for now that's where I'm at.
Well, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Man, I've enjoyed the time. I appreciate it, sitting down with me.
It was my pleasure.
Good conversations.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for being such a great partner.
Absolutely.
You've been awesome, and use this guy. If you need some inspections, get him. Element
Appreciate it.
inspections.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
All right, thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, man.